This is Bill Stewart. I'm a volunteer at the Tallac Historic Site, managed by the Great Basin Institute and owned by the U.S. Forest Service. We're in the Pope family boathouse on the historic site, and in the boathouse we have an extensive collection of vintage outboard motors dating from the 1920s to the 1950s. We're here with Jeff Cowen from the TRPA, and he's going to talk to us about why these motors can no longer be used on Lake Tahoe. Jeff?
Thank you very much. It's great being here. It's great being part of this project to tell this story. There has always been a boating culture, a boating heritage, to the lake. The Tahoe Regional Planning Agency was created in 1969 by the two states to just better manage and unify environmental standards and planning standards around the basin. And with the lake being the main asset that we're here to protect, we've really always studied the water of the lake, and we've really always looked to impacts on the lake. One of those can come from boating. And so there were scientific studies happening in the 1990s around the lake that really showed measuring high levels of gas-related organic compounds that were in the water, which is not good. That kind of pollution is something that I think any lake would really want to stop. But here in Tahoe, the concentrations of those compounds were being measured very highly in Emerald Bay. It's one of the more iconic parts of Lake Tahoe that everyone with the boat really wants to go and see. And so these environmental studies came out, and we realized that this was something that really had to be addressed, but not a lot of people had really tried to look at two-stroke engines as something that could be managed in a different way. So eventually we got to the point where we had to take action, and one of the actions that TRPA took was to enact the very first prohibition on carbureted two-stroke marine engines in the nation. It was good that we had a lot of scientific studies, behind this, so that this could be backed up. It was not an easy thing to do. It wasn't easy for TRPA or our communities. It wasn't easy for the boating public. Two-stroke engines, as you know, had been around for a long time, and it had really been a big part of small engine and boating on small lakes. But one of the things that happened was that after the two-stroke engine ban was enacted, it was a dramatic drop in the measurable gas-related organic compounds that were in the lake. And today, we actually know that you cannot detect scientifically any of those gas-related organic compounds in the lake. This was a really big success, I think, for the health of the lake, for the health of the watershed. But it became something that was picked up almost as a national model. It was not long after that we saw other lakes in the nation start to borrow from our studies and borrow from our policy to enact their own prohibitions. And not long after that, the actual marine engine industry started to adapt as well, and four-stroke marine engines that were much cleaner, and even today, fuel-injected two-stroke marine engines are so much cleaner than the older carbureted marine two-strokes.
Jeff, this was a controversial decision. You must have had some interesting discussions within the board. Could you tell us about that?
The Tahoe Regional Planning Agency has always been very unique in the nation, and we have a very different makeup. So a lot of our policies and decisions are benefited by having a really large governing board. We have a 15-member governing board that represents both states as well as about the 6 local government jurisdictions in the basin as well. And at that time, there was a very well-known personality maybe on our governing board named Steve Wynn. Steve Wynn was associated with the Wynn casinos in Las Vegas, and he was one of the folks that really was behind the impetus that really kind of got all of this going. And that was a fascinating part, I think, of the history of this decision and this policy. It was a very big moment for the Tahoe Basin. It was one of the bigger things that I think that has ever happened, because it really affected so many people, so many boaters, so many people who love the lake. And it was tough for us. It was tough for the community, and it was tough on boaters because they wanted to protect the lake, But at the same time, I mean, you know, not being able to use their boat anymore, not being able to use their engine anymore, their outboard, was pretty a big deal. So, but after the first year or two, you know, things kind of like smoothed out, and we started hearing from other parts of the nation that other lakes were using our studies, were using the facts behind our prohibition to actually start to enact their own regulations on carbureted marine two-stroke engines.
Jeff, thank you for being here, and I'd like to invite everybody to come visit us at the boathouse and in the historic site.